life, the bright lights, the type the crowd likes. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they wanna be me, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
Heat at Wizards, 7 o'clock, Capital One Arena. NBA shot clock on a Friday, February the 2nd. Buying the Heat on the road, best bet of the day, -8 1 unit. Miami comes into tonight's game off an impressive defensive win at home against Sacramento on Wednesday night, 115-106. A win that was long overdue. Prior to that win, Miami was mired in an 0-7 cluster ATS and straight up. This team has clustered all year. They're hot and they're cold, and I believe this is the start of an upward movement streak. Miami is also 0-1 ATS this year against Washington, an egregious one on November 3rd in Miami in the in-season tournament. On that particular evening, the Miami Heat were up 25 points in the middle of the fourth quarter and somehow did not cover a -8 on a last possession three from a no-name, Ryan Rollins. Washington is showcasing road to home polarization, maybe surprising to some. Far better on the road. Washington is 5-0 ATS, last 5 on the road, 8-3 last 11 on the road. In that same window, they are 2-6 ATS at home, and they've been putting margin non-covers on record at home all year. Boston, New York, Milwaukee, New Orleans, Utah, Dallas, Clippers. Miami is graded right in that window at -7.5 open, indicating a double-digit victory and the upward movement for the Heat. The buy hat is engaged. Friday, February 2nd, NBA shot clock. Best bet of the day, Miami -8 1 unit.
What's going on, y'all? Junior Browne back with another free pick. On Friday, February 2nd for NBA shot clock, we're rocking with the under 248 in the Pacers-Kings game. Now, these two teams just played 2 weeks ago, and the final score had a total of 247. I just think it's a tough spot for the Pacers, having played in New York last night. Now they travel back home. This Kings team is not the team, I mentioned this before this week. They're not the Kings of last year. Their offense is not nearly as efficient as it was last season, where they were first in the league overall. This season, they're closer to 14th. I know they only scored 106 against Miami, but Miami kind of just does that to everybody. The Pacers do not do that to anybody. What I believe is this game is going to be played at a little bit of a slower pace than people expect, because the Kings don't run nearly as much as you think. They're 15th in the league in transition offense in terms of frequency, how much they get out and run. And Domantas Sabonis is top 10 in the league in assists. So what does that tell you? He ain't getting them assists running the court, leading the break. He's getting them assists in the high post of dribble handoff action. That's basically how the Kings offense works. It's De'Aaron Fox breaking everybody down because he's almost unstoppable one-on-one, or other guys on the team taking dribble handoffs to get into their offense because most of their other players really can't get their own shot. On top of that, Tyrese Halliburton did come back last night, but he only played 20 minutes. You're not going to get me to believe that after a couple weeks off, he's going to come back and the first thing he's going to do is play in back-to-back games. The first game he was back, he only played 20. Maybe he plays another 20 tonight, but I think it's more likely he sits out, even though he's not on the injury report yet. Give me the under 248, which I think is just a tick too high. And let's go ahead and cash this ticket, y'all.
Clippers at Pistons, Little Caesars Arena, a Friday night, and an official on the home team, plus 11.5 1 unit. The Clippers come into tonight's game on a heater on the road at the Eastern Conference. 4-1 in their last 5, and Detroit is unequivocally the worst team in the sport based on flat record. However, this is sports betting, not looking at Sports Center, and we have to look at their ATS statistics. Detroit is showing signs of significant upward movement. They are 8-1 ATS in their last 9 ball games. They started 1-8 ATS at home against the West, 3-0 last 3 there. coming home off a road cover at Cleveland. Detroit has performed very well at home off a road cover coming in. They feel the momentum and they do continue it into their home gym. Speaking of momentum, Detroit has played the Clippers incredibly tough over the last two matchups. Go back to the fall of 2022. Detroit played them down to the buzzer in a 96-91 tight loss cover at a plus 9.5 in Los Angeles. And the day after Christmas, 2022, the Clippers did cover the spread in Detroit in one of the most egregious backdoors you will ever see. Clippers 142, Detroit 131 on a -8 in overtime. When you're covering a -8 in overtime, that's clean living. This will be a tight game tonight. Detroit is showing upward movement. You're getting great value on this line at plus 11.5. This game should fall under 11 points on that margin point. Buy this one tonight on the dog, and let's dominate.
What's up, y'all? Junior Brown back with another episode of NBA Shot Clock on this Friday, February 2nd, with more free picks, and we're rocking with the Pelicans -7.5 at San Antonio. Not really sure I need to explain why I would be taking the Pelicans over San Antonio, because even though the Spurs' performances have improved, they're still a terrible team. It's really Victor Wembanyama that's improved, if we're just being honest. Everybody else is still pretty much the same. They're a little bit better with Trey Jones. I always confuse those two. With Trey Jones, Tyus plays for the Wizards. With Trey Jones in the starting lineup, again, their points per game have gone up a few points, but they're not a good basketball team. Now, the Pelicans have been struggling a little bit, 4-6 in their last 10, but guys, I keep telling you the same thing. It's not just about wins and losses, it's who you beat and who beat you. So let me give you all the 6 losses that the Pelicans have in their last 10 games. They've lost to Dallas. They lost to the Thunder. They lost to the Nuggets, the defending champs. They've lost to Boston. They've lost to Milwaukee. And they've lost to the Suns. Those are all teams that are either as good or better than the Pelicans. So they're not out here losing to scrubs. I'm not going to go as far as to call the Spurs scrubs, but they're closer to that than being average. Give me the Pelicans in a situation where they got to start winning games. I mentioned they lost to Dallas. Dallas is only 1 point behind New Orleans in the standings. They can't afford to lose games like this. I see them winning by margin. Go ahead and give me the Pelicanos -7.5, and let's go ahead and cash this ticket, y'all.
Suns at Hawks, another out-of-conference game, Friday, February 2nd. NBA Shot Clock, a top lean, playing Phoenix -3.5 if you guys want to bet on this game. This game is a little ambiguous. Atlanta is clearly a buy low, historically awful against the spread, showing signs, particularly at home, of improvement. And speaking of improvement, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker are finally playing together night after night and finally putting it together in terms of their offensive efficiency and their ability to dominate. The motivation in this game lies on Phoenix, surprisingly to many. Atlanta last year was 2-0 ATS and straight up against the Suns. A 32-point win in Phoenix on February 1st, and a 9-point win at home slightly later on. The number in this game is all over Phoenix. In that home game played last year at State Farm Arena, Atlanta was favored -4. Now, same gym, double revenge. The books are moving the line with emphasis towards Phoenix, telling you revenge is coming and Phoenix is the numerical side in this game. If you guys want to bet this game, we always tell you, please bet responsibly. You don't have to wager on every single game. Enjoy it. Play the Suns for some fun, a sprinkle, and an opportunity to dominate. NBA Shot Clock on a beautiful Friday. Let's enjoy.
What's going on, y'all? Junior Brown back with NBA Shot Clock on this Friday, February 2nd, with another free pick, and we're rocking with the Houston Rockets. -5.5 over the Toronto Raptors. This pick is a complete fade of the Raptors because the Rockets have struggles of their own, but they're the much better basketball team, and the way that the Raptors go about doing their business plays right into the Rockets' hands, in my opinion. Let's start with the fact that they're without Emmanuel Quickley, without RJ Barrett, without Jakob Poeltl. And for those of you who just laughed at the fact that I just mentioned Jakob Poeltl, Just stay with me. Şengün is the fulcrum of Houston's offense. The Raptors, without Pirtle, don't have another big body that can compete with his physicality, because he can't even jump over a loose leaf piece of paper. He does not play above the rim. He's fundamentals, and you need a guy who's fundamentally sound on defense to stay with him. They don't have anybody that can match up with his physicality right now. On top of that, the Raptors are 1-9 in the last 10. I'm not even including their win against Chicago, because the Bulls did every single thing to give that game away. In fact, the Bulls shot 50% from the field and lost the game. The reason they lost the game is because they lost a turnover battle and they lost the offensive rebounding battle. What does that mean in layman's terms? If you lose a turnover battle and you give up offensive rebounds, that means you're giving the other team several extra possessions, which means that they can shoot badly and still beat you. Well, here's the thing. The Bulls shot 50%, well, the Raptors shot 52% from the field and 48% from three. That ain't happening again. That is not who Toronto is, especially with their two best offensive players out of the lineup. Give me the Houston Rockets, the number one transition defense in the league, to slow down the Raptors' number one transition offense in the league, and go ahead and cover this 5.5 and cash this ticket for us. Y'all know what it is. Let's go.
Magic at Timberwolves, 8 o'clock, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Out of conference basketball, NBA shot clock on a Friday. An official play, taking the home team, the Wolves, first quarter, -2, 1 unit. Minnesota, in a sample this year at home, has been highly effective against the East. 5-1 ATS at home, only non-cover, a blown lead against Charlotte on a huge figure. Not the same environment we're seeing tonight against Orlando. In that sample, they are 4-2 against the first quarter spread. And they're catching the Orlando team here who underperforms consistently on the road in the first quarter. Orlando has performed well at the West for the game. 8-4 over 12 games played this year on the road. However, in the first quarter, they are 5-6 ATS. And a handful of those covers were really fortunate gambling variants where they weren't even good. The opponent was somehow worse, scoring less than 20 points. Speaking of playing poorly in the first quarter, Orlando has played Minnesota 3 times since November of 2022, and they are 0-3 ATS in those games. Score sheets all over Minnesota, 42-24 first quarter, 34-27 first quarter, and 33-16 first quarter. The Wolves come out at home. They want to take you out of the game at some altitude. Orlando will coast and find their flow second, third, and fourth quarter. By this tonight, Minnesota in the first quarter, -2 official.
What's up, y'all? Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Friday, February 2nd with another free pick, and we're rocking with the Memphis Grizzlies plus 7.5 when they host the Golden State Warriors. And I'll just keep this really simple. I would not lay 7.5 points with this Warriors team against anybody on the road, not even the Detroit Pistons. Nothing about this Golden State team should lead you to believe that they are a team that's going to win by margin. I'm not saying that they can't do that. They got Steph Curry, who's still playing at an all-world level. I get it. But as a basketball team, they are not good. They're 13-13 at home. They're 7-11 straight up on the road. If you've been watching the Grizzlies, yeah, they're not winning games, but they're not terrible. They're 4-6 in the last 10, which by their standards, considered all their health issues, is actually decent, especially considering the level of competition they've played recently. They have been hanging around all of these games. I'm not laying this many points with Golden State, so this is just me playing the numbers straight up. Let's go ahead and cash this ticket, y'all.
Blazers at Nuggets, 9 o'clock, Ball Arena, Denver, Colorado, NBA shot clock, another top play. We are taking the Nuggets, -11.5, 1 unit. Denver comes into tonight's game off a road loss at Oklahoma City on Wednesday night. This is where Denver performs well. 15-7 in their home gym and 5-3 ATS coming home off of a road non-cover. The Trailblazers are an interesting conversation. Portland started this campaign very impressive on the road. 9-5 ATS first 14, highly unsustainable, and they are 3-9 ATS on the road since. Portland also comes into tonight's game a little too hot overall. Quietly 5-4 straight up last 9, 6-3 ATS in that window. And Portland comes in here off a huge emotional high, an outright win on Wednesday night against Milwaukee. For those of you guys who were watching, and for those of you who were not, it was the return of Damian Lillard to Portland. Portland showed out, they balled out, they won the game outright as a significant underdog, and they've beaten the East twice in a row at home, having clobbered Philadelphia the night before that. Go back to a very similar window in the middle of January. Portland did beat Brooklyn and Indiana, 2 Eastern Conference opponents, outright in their home gym back-to-back before going on the road to Los Angeles, the Lakers. The Lakers laid 11.5 points, and the Lakers hammered them by 24. Denver will do the same, and the line is indicating it. The last time these teams played in Denver, Denver was up 20 in the fourth quarter. Tried to melt the game, but did cover a -8.5. This moves up to -12, telling you the same story. Blowout is coming. Buy the buy hat, buy Denver, and let's dominate.